This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Yes, a Friday on the After Party Live. Welcome to it. I lost the video. It was one of those things where you have to click an arrow and then the menu of videos comes up for you. Anyway, regardless, I lost the open video, so I clicked start and then I couldn't find the open. I'm glad we got it. I'm glad it's all done and situated. And I see that we have a contribution to the After Party Live, a rare and beautiful thing from Scott Rittenberg, a $5 to start it off. Thank you, Scott. I really appreciate that. The super chat, super stickers are open. And I was remiss in bringing up the PayPal contributions yesterday, so I'll do it right off the bat today. I just want to say thank you very much to everyone who keeps this show rolling. Lori Above the Bar with $31. Thank you for the PayPal contribution to this show. If you haven't been to the bar in San Francisco, I don't think I have the picture of the bar to show on this show, but gosh, I need to download one, so I will. But thank you, Lori. So appreciate your contribution. Really, really appreciate it. Elaine L, $20 to the After Party Live. I appreciate your contribution as well. Wes yesterday kicking in $5, as he often does, to the After Party Live. Very much appreciate that. Scott R yesterday threw in $10 via PayPal as well. So he's contributing on PayPal and here on the super chat super sticker. Scott, thank you. And then another $5 from Wes. So you guys, really appreciate it. The way that you support this show really touches my heart. So thank you for doing that. Let us move forward to these stories before we welcome Tim Sika with At the Movies with Tim Sika to the show. He's got a couple, maybe one of the same movies that Michael Snyder reviewed, so I'm interested to see his take. Michael Snyder really didn't like that movie, Hurry Up Tomorrow. We'll see what Tim Sika has to say about that. A Nullifidian with lodging a little complaint. I felt the same way, my friend. There were no gators on Friday Fabulous Florida, but I'm cool with getting gators here. And I wondered if I should do it because this is a story out of Florida. But let's get right to it. There was a gator for the second time. They think it might be the same gator that was spotted in a pipe in Florida with an infrared camera. And I thought this was such a cool picture of this gator who almost looks like it's posing for the camera in a way. A gator in a pipe. City employees in Oviedo, Florida, found this gator while they were doing a routine pipe inspection underneath a Florida roadway. And they ended up capturing pictures and video of this small alligator. They said he's just chilling in the pipe, just hanging out down there. They put a photo on Facebook showing the image of this gator that was caught by workers using, not the gator, but the picture, caught by workers using a remote-controlled camera to check a pipe under Lockwood Boulevard. They were looking for cracks and leaks, and what they found instead, this gator guy, just kicking it down there. They wrote, "You loved him the first time around, and now he's back. We did a routine check of the pipe under Lockwood and discovered our friend was back just chilling. Also," they say, "the pipes are good, no leaks, everything's okay." People commented, "I think he's smiling for the camera." They called him a pipe puppy. Looks like he's sitting on a bench. People say, "I love him." Yeah, a lot of comments about this gator kicking it in the pipes. The first gator was found several years ago in the exact same spot. This was in 2023, and they shared a video. You can see the video of the pipe. They're going along the pipe looking for cracks, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's an alligator right there. They say they're really not sure if it's the exact same alligator from a couple years ago, but they said it's just as fun to watch. So there he is in all his glory down there in the sewer pipes in Florida. Thank goodness they have a remote camera and it's not, real workers down there. Yikes. I thought this was so interesting. This story out of Arizona, and reptile wranglers were called out because there was a snake in the backyard of this Scottsdale home. And so the rattlesnake solutions people came out here's what it turned out to be a Western diamondback rattlesnake. And here's what a normal one looks like with a leopard-like color pattern. And they have these white, you can see this white area on the tail that's a hallmark of this species, and that's how they know what they're looking at. This one was kind of weird, and for a minute, they didn't know exactly what it was. Look at this one. So it does have the leopard-like pattern, but it's all muted and strange, and the only reason the reptile wranglers knew it was a Western diamondback was because of that white part that matched the normal white part on the bottom of the tail. So that's how they knew that it was the same one. But they said the snake was really weird. It had this bright white tail base with black spots. That was the only normal thing about it. They say this one, the leopard-like pattern was weird. And they said in the many thousands of diamondbacks that they'd seen over the years, this was a first. They said it was likely caused by a big pattern mutation. The area it was in, they say, rules out hybridization possibilities with most species. Not that there's anything that morphologically indicates that. Of all the possibilities that could explain why this snake looks this way, they said it's likely just a funky looking diamondback. The business said this snake was captured alive and healthy, even though it doesn't look like that in the picture. It is alive. And I don't know what they did with it, whether they set it free somewhere or kept it for observation. I don't know. Weird though, right? When it's supposed to look like this. Oops. And it looks like that. Looks like someone put a muted filter on this snake. So weird. It's so thick too. You can almost see where it ate something, where it starts getting really thick. Yeah. Not a snake you want to get munched on by. No, not at all. Should we talk about the Everglades? We have a problem with the Everglades. They, like California a couple of years ago, there's a massive drought drying up the Everglades. They say it's the worst drought since 2012, and it's causing huge swaths of wetlands in the Everglades to dry out. Some parts of the Everglades are drying up completely. There's this alligator farm, speaking of gators, called Everglades Alligator Farm. It's about 30 miles south of Miami. They offer airboat rides there, and those have been suspended because there's no water. The airboats use these large fans to push across the water, and if there's no water to go on, the boats can't be doing that. So they say the farm is still open. They have some exhibits and they do some shows, but you can't go out on the water in the airboats anymore. The drought, they say, does impact the tourism there, but also they're worried because it puts stress on the wildlife, and it also increases the chance of wildfires, something we know a lot about here in California. So we feel that. In Florida, nearly 84% of this state is in a moderate to severe or extreme drought. And that hasn't happened since 2012 when the entire state had that category. Most of the Everglades drought, though, is in the extreme category. That's from the U.S. Drought Monitor. The tours have also stopped at a nearby fish camp because of overcrowding in remaining water pockets, and algae is consuming all the oxygen, causing fish kills in this area. We'll see. The drought is likely to continue for a time being. They say the rain will be very spotty for the rest of May in Miami and the Everglades, and so the wildlife danger continues to be a problem. Who knew? Not something I think about, the Everglades drying up, but that's what's going on. There are more than 2,000 baristas at Starbucks. They are on strike. And that is because Starbucks is trying to change the dress code, trying to change the types of shirts you can wear underneath your Starbucks apron. And they are not happy. More than 2,000 Starbucks baristas at 120 stores across the country. And in Starbucks language, 120 stores is just nearly a drop in the bucket, right? They've been on strike since Sunday, protesting the new company dress code. So the dress code now requires employees to wear underneath their aprons darker colors. So they can wear a solid black shirt and khaki blue or denim bottoms. And that doesn't seem bad to me, but the previous dress code allowed them to wear more of a range of dark colors and patterned shirts that you can see in the picture where not everyone looks exactly the same. The Starbucks folks say they think wearing a black shirt underneath the green apron will make that Starbucks green pop a little more and create a sense of familiarity for their customers. So that's why they want the employees to wear the black shirts. I mean, okay, they don't want to do it though. They're not happy about it. Who wants to be constrained by having to wear a black shirt? But in the scheme of uniforms, I mean, at least it's not, offensive and it's not polyester. You can still get to wear your own black shirt. They're on strike. So if you go to your local Starbucks and you see picketing out front, that's what that's all about. It is time. I'm so excited at the movies with Tim Sika. Yay! Let's welcome Tim Sika to the show. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Kim. How you doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Good.
Can't complain. That story about the Starbucks uniforms.
Yeah.
I went to Catholic school, and we had to. Well, the girls had to wear uniforms,
Sure.
but and the boys not so much. But I went to Catholic high school, and we did have to wear, a dress shirt and a tie and
Sure.
and a sport coat. So I don't know. I mean, really. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. It's hard to have sympathy for these kids, but anyway, whatever. Yeah, whatever.
I did not take the job, but when I was 15-ish, almost 16, I was offered a job at Burger King.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
took one look at the polyester uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
And I
Those
was
are kind
like,
of gross.
no,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. And I
Yeah.
ended up working down at the beach selling T-shirts instead.
Yeah.
But in the
Better
scheme of
better
uniforms,
choice.
I mean, you
Yeah.
could look at a Hooters uniform with those
Oh,
polyester
yeah,
orange
right.
shorts and the tight
Yeah.
tank top, and you could make
Right.
an argument where say, yeah, that's kind of uncomfortable to have to wear at work, right?
Oh, yeah. That's true. Yeah.
At Starbucks, you get to wear jeans or khaki
Yeah.
pants,
Hmm.
your own black shirt. It doesn't seem that bad, but hey, who am
Yeah,
I?
but hey, yeah, who am I to? Yeah.
All right, the first movie that you have reviewed for us this week is this one, and it's called Hurry Up Tomorrow. And Michael Snyder just reviewed this movie on the Mark Thompson show, so I can't wait to hear what you say about it.
Oh Lord! Well, I kind of wish I didn't even have to talk about this one because
Oh.
taking in this movie, I just wanted it to hurry up and just be over. This movie's being advertised as an American musical psychological thriller, and if that description is attempting to create a new genre of some kind, moviegoers everywhere beware. You're in deep doo-doo. Apparently, this is a companion piece to Abel the Weekend Tesfaire's sixth studio album of the same name. I didn't even know who this guy was. Anyway, the album was produced in conjunction with this movie. So, and Abel Tesfaye, in fact, stars in the film. He plays this drug-addled rock star, depressed over a relationship breakup, who encounters and has a brief affair with a groupie he meets on tour, who turns out to be a crazy psychotic psychopath. And I would say that this film, well, the best thing that can be said about this film is that it probably is the absolute worst movie I have seen this year. It is seemingly pointless. It is grueling to sit through. It's visually assaultive. In fact, they give a warning beforehand. They say, hey, there's going to be flashing lights and stuff. So if anybody's sensitive to that, and I'm not sensitive to that, but during the movie, I became sensitive to that. I thought, this is insane.
Yeah, there's some things that have too much flashing and I have to look away. And I'm not normally sensitive, but like I feel like you're trying to give me a stroke or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And and it was wall-to-wall music. Anyway, it was one of the most unbelievably self-indulgent and just plain dreadful movies I have ever sat through. There's a few interesting elements here. I hesitate to outright say that this movie is garbage. Well, I just said it, but it's so bad and so navel-gazing that to point out anything good about it would give somebody the wrong impression that it might be a good movie, because it is not a good movie, and I have nowhere to put the sheer torture it felt to watch this. I nearly bailed on it 1 hour in. Then I nearly bailed on it again 20 minutes after that. But then, as a professional discipline, I decided to just endure it until it was over. I think the film was trying vapidly, though, I would add, to say something about honesty and artistic integrity and channeling personal pain, into your art. But all of that is so buried beneath this, no matter how you slice it, self-indulgent, swollen, and bloated mess of a movie. And having to endure films like this, Kim, in the end only succeeded in edging me closer and closer to retirement.
Oh God, that's
No,
bad.
really. Yeah,
When this movie makes you want to quit, it's bad.
It's bad. Anyway, hurry up and close. Hurry up tomorrow. We'll be all the better for it. No. What did Michael think?
He did not like this movie either. He's not recommended. He said
okay,
it was
good.
Awful. You two are in
that's
agreement.
Nice. Yeah, we're in agreement.
Nice.
Yay!
He would have been shocked if he said, "Oh, I loved it." No, he did not say that at all.
Oh, it was awful. It was just awful. It was horrible. It was. Anyway, I already said that. I'm sounding redundant.
So funny. By the way, before we get to the next movie, last week we talked about
the Four Seasons.
Four Seasons, and you said, "I'm watching it." What did you think?
I did. I was because I hadn't seen the original 1981 movie, which I did watch it right after, as you had recommended. I was so shocked at that plot twist at the end with the character, and I'm not going to say what happens to the character, but I really enjoyed it. You were absolutely right. It was like so binge worthy. I think the only reason I stopped it at like episode 6 was because I had something else to do. But that evening I finished it, and then I watched the 1981 movie and enjoyed that as well. I know what you mean about the theatrical acting and the change in acting styles. I thought the acting was pretty okay, but when they were laughing, the friends laughing on the boat, laughing on I just thought, man, why isn't the director telling them to just tone it down? Nobody laughs like that. They all sound crazy. Anyway, I thought that
the fighting and the ice scene in the original was like, pushing, like you've now gone to the realm of people wouldn't act like that.
No, it was so overwrought and so like over the top, and it's like it kind of took me out of the movie. Yeah, but I still liked it. I thought it was a good film, and I really, really enjoyed the series. So I really appreciate the tip on that, because I probably would have not have seen it.
Yeah, I'm so glad you watched it. I liked it too. So if anyone has Netflix, check it out. It's a very similar plot line with just enough differences to make it interesting.
And also differences to make it a little more relevant, because the first one came out, what was it, like 40 years ago, something like that?
It's interesting. They have a gay couple in the new one. And one of this Italian guy that's part of the gay couple, he becomes my favorite character because he's just he's sensitive but funny, but then he's emotionally smart when it counts.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. You're right. He has really great emotional intelligence. That's true. Yeah, I mean, but I could see that because he's so romantic and so, I get it. Yeah, and very funny too. Yeah.
The Old Woman with the Knife is on your list.
Yes, I enjoyed this one a little more than Hurry Up Tomorrow. Well, a lot more, actually. It's a Korean action film, and I think Korean action film fans are really going to dig this one. It's a great title. I love the title. I immediately thought, I want to see this, The Old Woman with a Knife. But this film it's about an aging female assassin who works for this agency that kills people whom they deem to be the cockroaches of our society, right? The scum who apparently evade the law and who continue to inflict suffering upon other people. So the 60-year-plus-year-old woman who has a reputation for like the being the best, brutal disposer person of people whom the agency she works for deems subhuman. She's on in years. She continues to work for the organization, but because she may be slipping, kind of, so to speak, is being watched close. This is what kind of makes it interesting. She's being watched closely by her other co-worker assassins who are ready to retire her. The hitch in the get along, though, is that she's still got plenty of life in her. She's not ready to go. And it's kind of an odd movie. Some people might call it immoral. I think it's ironically amoral. I mean, it's about an organization that sends its employees on targeted missions to murder people outside the established law enforcement structure. It's sort of composed of like a bunch of Dexters. Do you ever see Dexter?
I never watched that show.
Well, that's a show about a guy who kills awful people who escape the justice system. He's a vigilante. But I thought that was an interesting setup, and it was further nuanced by focusing on a female, an aging female protagonist who may be past her prime, but for whomever crosses her path, they wind up dead. Let's just say that. And technically, the film's a little messy. The editing is a little confusing. There are lots of flashbacks to show how this woman came to work for this vigilante organization. I like that the film was a kind of a metaphor too for how society, certainly in Western culture, tends to dismiss or discard people of a certain age, especially women, as being of no or little use anymore. I also kind of found it amusing, this notion of, how can I say this, of professional killers killing other professional killers who may be slowing down a bit within an organization of professional killers because it would reflect badly upon their institution. I mean, an organization that kills and kills cleanly and efficiently, but if there's a member in this organization of killers who's like maybe not doing as good as they used to do, but they refuse to leave, well, for the sake of the organization, its reputation, let's maybe they should be eliminated too. I kind of thought that was funny. I don't know if it was meant to be. So even if I think this movie was, how can I say, compellingly unpleasant at times, and it's sometimes excessive use and scenes of violence, there was enough about it that was interesting enough to deem it a decent movie. It was based on a novel of the same name, which I'm sure has something to do with the substance in it that kind of transcends just for it being just mere entertainment. So I recommend The Old Woman with a Knife. And I'll tell you, this old woman, boy, she still knows how to wield a knife when it comes to killing people. Woo woo. Oh, and I should say one thing, and this is a bit of a spoiler, but I always tell people this because all my friends say I'm obligated to tell them this because all of my friends are animal lovers. Oh. The dog dies in this movie, and it's really heartbreaking. So that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. And this little dog is just absolutely adorable.
Good to know going in, right?
Yeah,
before you click on that.
Yeah.
Who plays the old lady?
Oh man, I should have that.
It's okay. Is it someone famous that we would know, or
probably not unless you're a big fan of these movies. Yeah, I should.
Okay.
She's a very good Korean actress. All the acting is great. She's fabulous, and she doesn't. What I like about it too is she doesn't do anything to like alter her looks to make her look, although she's a very attractive looking 60-plus-year-old woman, but they don't do anything to like glam her up. My understanding is that she's a very respected actress in Korea. And
is it Lee Hae-young?
That's it.
Lee Hae-young. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. That's Lee Hae-young, I think. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Our next movie is a documentary. And I couldn't find a poster, but I did find the
I don't know if there is a poster. Yeah, Pee-wee as himself.
And it's on HBO Max now? Now it's HBO Max again.
I know. What is this? Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Yeah. And they always want me to say, don't say HBO Max, just say Max. And now I got to say HBO Max.
Yeah,
anyway.
HBO Max.
Yeah. This is Pee-wee as himself. We're talking here, of course, about Pee-wee Herman. Is a character created by actor and comedian Paul Rubens, and the focus of a couple movies, Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Big Top Pee-wee were a couple of movies, and then those movies paved the way for Pee-wee's Playhouse, that delightfully bonkers an Emmy award-winning children's series that ran on CBS. I think it. 1986 to 1999. Have you ever seen Pee-wee's Playhouse?
Like a long time ago.
Oh, I just think it's wonderful. Anyway, this is a 2-part HBO documentary. It's directed by Matt Wolf, and it chronicles the life of Paul Rubens, who participated in over 40 hours of interviews for this movie. He died at the age of 70 in 2023. He had leukemia and metastatic lung cancer, but Yeah, watching this though, it's interesting. You're not sure if it's really a documentary about Paul Rubens, which of course it is, or the character of Pee Wee Herman himself, because those two personas were so closely intertwined in Paul Rubens's life. But it's a fascinating doc, which chronicles the life of this guy whose private life was always closely guarded. So there's something special about the fact that he went so public in these interviews before he died. And as a result, we get a really thorough and detailed overview of his life, his sexuality, his beginnings with the Groundlings improv group in LA, his performance artist beginnings. He was actually a contestant on the dating game as Pee Wee Herman, which was so bizarre because he was actually chosen by the woman who was asking the questions. It was so weird. She chose this guy. Anyway, he did SNL, lots of appearances on David Letterman. He toured 22 U.S. cities as Pee Wee Herman, winding up at, of all places, Carnegie Hall.
Wow.
Pee Wee Herman at Carnegie Hall. He was a weed head. I didn't know any of that. He was in the closet for most of his life. He was a fanatic of kitsch, and he pretty much lived his life as this alter ego, Paul Rubens did, as Pee Wee Herman. And of course, there was Pee Wee's Playhouse, which in my opinion was one of the most inventive and creative and out brilliant children's TV shows of all time. Somebody in the film described Pee Wee's Playhouse as Caligula in Kittyland. Which I don't know how to react to that. I didn't think it was quite Caligula anyway. But it's a fascinating look at a truly original artist. And it's my take on it is a little early. It starts to stream on HBO Max next Friday. So and it's well worth the 4-hour runtime.
Really what's interesting is, and I see Ricky says no interest in Pee Wee's life, but in talking to you and talking to Mark as well, there was a lot more to him than just caricature on his show. He was said to be like really wonderful and a philanthropist and this really great person. And it's sad that when I think of Pee Wee Herman,
I know what you're gonna say.
Being caught in some adult movie theater with his
masturbating,
his man parts out, and so that's what I think of, and that's really, he leaves kind of a legacy that's a lot more than that.
Yeah, there were also these child porn allegations, which were proven completely false, but they were, and it was kind of a setup. And then there were these obscenity charges that followed. Yeah, unfortunately, when those things come out, they stick forever, even if they're not true. And he was not a pedophile from all accounts and all documentation. And he was, kids loved that character. They loved the show. Yeah, and he was a very, very canny artist, and he was very original, and he was also commercially successful. He made a lot of money, and that character, I know that character, some people don't like, they find it irritating. I used to find Pee Wee Herman really annoying, and then at some point he kind of just grew on me. And I found him amusing, but I agree with what you said.
John Watson says Pee Wee kind of reminds me of Andy Kaufman in a weird way.
That's a good, I think, I could be wrong, but I think somebody does make that comparison, or they allude to that. Yeah, they're very, very similar in that they're both extremely weird, and their humor is very, very weird.
I don't know the answer to this question. Wes asks, did you know that Paul Rubens was in the movie Elf? He was the guy in the mailroom that Buddy got drunk with. I didn't realize that.
He appeared in a lot of movies, especially after like all that brouhaha, all that controversy and stuff. But they didn't really publicize that stuff a lot. But yeah, he did. That's exactly right. And he popped up in a lot of other movies as well. I think he was in one of the Batman movies too, if I remember correctly. He played some weird villain or something. Yeah, but
Judy says he was also great in the movie Blow as a flamboyant drug dealer.
In Blow, that's right. He was in Blow. Yeah, exactly. See, we need this feedback from people so that they can, remind me of stuff I'm supposed to know off the top of my head here.
Interesting. But you say of this documentary, it's worth watching?
It's very worth watching. Yeah. And it's, again, when you learn more about people, even the stuff you might find annoying or questionable about them, there's always something in their life that, at least this is my experience. This is why I read books about history and biographies. There's something there that's you can empathize with just being another human being yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Pee-wee as himself, and that's on HBO Max, as it's called now.
Yes, we're back to
And
that.
we're back to that. And the next one is called Jane Austen Changed My Life? Wrecked
Jane
My Life?
Austen wrecked my
Wrecked
life.
My Life.
I love that title, and this is a movie for you, Kim McAllister.
Oh!
I'm going to recommend this movie to you. It's a French romantic comedy film. It's in English and French, and it's about this kind of It's about this. I love that poster too. It's about this kind of clumsy, but really charming young woman who works in this bookstore in Paris, while all the while dreaming of becoming a successful writer and experiencing love akin to a Jane Austen novel.
Mhm.
The gal is played by Camille Rutherford. She's wonderful in the lead role. And the movie was written and directed by Laura Piani. She's making her feature film directorial debut with this movie. And I super enjoyed this movie because, for one, it's a fresh take on the romantic comedy genre. Without giving anything away, I'm not going to give away any of the plot twists and stuff but anyway, it's so smart for another, and it can be looked at and enjoyed through a lot of different prisms or aspects. There's the literary aspect, which you needn't really know anything about to enjoy the movie. If you've never read a Jane Austen novel, it's okay. It doesn't affect anything. But if you're a fan of Jane Austen's novels, it's an added bonus. So there's the literary aspect, there's the feminist aspect, and then there's the comic aspect. The latter shedding some light upon the subtle comedy that there is to be found in Jane Austen's works, which kind of bleeds over into this story about this young woman who's looking for romance, who works at a bookshop, but she's also trying at the same time, she's trying to balance all these things to be a respected writer. So it's a charming and smart rom-com, but it's also rich in its observation of the writer, what it takes to be a writer. There's a wonderful line in the movie about writing being like ivy, that it needs ruins to exist, and therefore anyone who aspires to be a writer needs to look for their own ruins. I thought that was just a wonderful stuff. And the love tribe,
kind of like comedy, right?
Yeah.
They say you're not a good writer or a songwriter or artist in any way unless you've been through some kind of horrible trauma.
Yeah. Well, the love trials that this woman goes through along the way are totally relatable to anybody, a woman or a man. Yeah. And it's just a nice movie. It's a delightful movie. It's poignant and funny, lovely, which, aside from being engagingly entertaining, has lots of stuff cooking around, or kicking around, observations and reflections about life and literature. And it was just a very satisfying viewing experience. It's the kind of movie, the kind of romantic comedy I wish they were making more of. And the title too just cracks me up. Jane Austen wrecked my life. Yeah, so it's a wonderful romantic comedy.
All right, your classic movie recommendation of the week is drum roll, Reds from 1981. And what has happened, Tim, when movies from the 80s are now classic movies?
I know. Well, it reminds us all how time is creeping up.
Yes, it does.
Which was a nice way of saying how old we're all getting.
Right.
1981 Reds. This is one of my all-time favorite movies. Warren Beatty's epic about the birth of American communism. He wrote it, he directed it, and he stars in it opposite Diane Keaton. They're both in the poster there, who delivers, in my opinion, her best screen portrayal. Beatty plays journalist John Reed, who famously chronicled the Russian Revolution in his 1919 book, 10 Days That Shook the World. He's the only American, Jack Reed is, born in Portland, Oregon, to be buried in the Kremlin, which I think is really interesting. And Diane Keaton plays journalist and his paramour, Louise Bryan. So it's a love story. I love these movies. I love these kind of love stories set against the epic backdrop of unfolding world history. In this case, it's the October Revolution in Petrograd, Russia, the Russian Revolution. It got 12 Oscar nominations when it came out in 1981. Wow. It won 3 for its direction, its supporting actress, Maureen Stapleton, and its cinematography. And I think one of the reasons I love this movie so much is because it's probably one of the uh, smartest entertainments ever made. How a movie can be this smart and this intelligent and at the same time being that entertaining. I really can't think of another movie of this length and this scope that accomplished what Red's accomplished in its telling of history and the love story unfolding against that history. It's brilliantly cast. Maureen Stapleton plays anarchist and writer Emma Goldman. Jack Nicholson plays playwright Eugene O'Neill. Jerry Kaczynski plays Russian revolutionary Grigory Zinoviev. An embarrassment of riches cast. Diane Keaton as Louise Bryan has never been better, and she delivers a towering performance here. I think her best screen performance ever. And then Beatty he's at the top of his game here. Well, he's always at the top of his game, but Reds, in my opinion, is his crowning achievement, certainly as director, and he deservedly won the Directors Guild of America Prize for Best Director and the Academy Award too for Best Director that year. And this is one of those movies that every time I watch it, I get lost in it. The time ceases to exist, and then, bye-bye 3 hours and 10 minutes, or however long this movie is. And every time I watch it, I discover something new in it. I really like the love story in it. It's very real. It's very nuanced. It's very moving. It's complicated. I learned a lot about the Russian Revolution watching this movie. It is literally history vividly come alive, and a capsule history too, really, not only of the Russian Revolution, but of the American left in the early 20th century. I don't know of any other movie. Well, I know before this movie, no other movie ever attempted even to go there because of the controversy. And I don't think any other movie has done that since, but it's also a great love story set against this epic backdrop. I mean, what more can you ask for in a movie, really? So I love Reds. I recommend it, and you can rent it on Amazon Prime. So, yeah.
I have to tell you, and you get a lot of love. Rhonda says, "Oh, I loved Reds."
Oh, yay. Yeah.
I have never seen this movie. Ricky says this is a delightful film and that he loved the history.
Yeah. I love all these comments. Yeah.
I have not seen this one, so I got to go back and see this movie.
You'll like it, Kim. I think you'll particularly like the love story. I know you love romantic dramas and comedy. But
I know, I do.
This is it's a great love story. These two people. Yeah. So
I also really enjoy movies about history. So this kind of has my name all over it. So I think, that might be one for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's my classic movie recommendation for today. Yay, Reds, 1981.
A couple of comments that I wanted to share with you before you go. Sometimes I'll do it after you go, but I like to do it when I see them when you're still here. I'll allow you to comment on them. Ricky wants to know, how is murder and killing considered entertainment? But I mean, from horror movies to movies like The Assassin, this has been ongoing. I mean, humans are always interested in harming each other and like peeking into that. It seems like we're hardwired and fascinated into the subjects of violence.
Yeah, I remember Hitchcock once said in an interview, he said the real question is, he says, why do people pay money to be scared or to watch other people in pain or whatever? And the interviewer said, well, do you have the answer to that? And he said, no way. He said, I earn my living doing that, so I don't want to know why.
Right.
But it's that peculiar thing, about the human condition, I guess.
Speaking of movies from the 80s, Vanessa says, I just watched a 40th anniversary reunion for The Breakfast Club.
The reunion. Oh, The Breakfast Club is so good. That was one of our recommended movies, I think. I think you did. I think it was the week I forgot.
And I recommended The Breakfast Club?
And you said The Breakfast Club, and I said, oh, yeah. No, Breakfast Club is another one of those movies. If you're like channel surfing, and it's one of those movies where if you come on The Breakfast Club, you go, oh, I'm going to watch, no matter where you land on it, you go, oh, I'm going to watch this for a while. And you wind up, even if there's commercials, you wind up watching it to the end. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Yeah.
Rev P just got here. He arrived when you said the first thing he heard was the dog dies. Great. Happy Friday.
Yeah,
You
I
know what?
know.
I think it's so important for you to tell people that, because if
Yeah,
you know that, you can really make a decision about what you want. Because there's sometimes I watch a movie and I don't want to be dragged down like that. Like
yeah, right.
I don't want to go into my weekend watching the things that make me sad or depressed or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
so I'm glad you mentioned it.
Yeah,
You
and I mean, it's part of the plot.
Mhm.
So, but and it's not a violent thing or anything, but it is just I mean, the dog was a stray that nobody wanted, was abandoned, and was going to be
Yeah,
killed, and this killer, she adopts it and
yeah,
she brings it home anyway. And it's not
yeah.
a violent death or anything, but really, I think it's so sad. And then I think of those movies like Old Yeller and. Uh, the Yearling and
Yeah,
God,
all those
oh
dog movies.
no, 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 no.
I
They're too
know.
hard to watch. They're too hard to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm with your girlfriend. John Watson says my girlfriend never wants to watch horror movies and is always asking why people watch that.
yeah,
I will
yeah.
say my friend Nikki loves horror movies, and it's something about the adrenaline, the kick that you
Yes,
get from that.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting, Kim, is I interviewed the director of a movie we reviewed last week. It was called A Clown in a Cornfield, and I
Mhm.
asked him that. I didn't say that. I told him, I said, the older I get,
Yeah.
it's harder and harder to disassociate myself from these movies. I said, do you have a take on that, why that is, or why, but you edit at the same time kind of drawn to it? And he said something really interesting. He said to him, horror movies, because they're so whatever,
Mhm.
they make some people feel alive. And I thought,
Oh,
I'm not doing it totally justice the way he said. The way he
yeah.
said it with that sentiment, I thought, wow, that's a really interesting take.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, in the same way, psychologists talk about sometimes, these psychopathic killers, the thrill that they
Mhm.
get out of raping women or
Ew.
killing people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of, yeah, it's borderline sick. Yeah, and I'm not a psychologist, but
Mm.
it has something to do, I think, with, yeah, maybe being reminded of death. I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know.
I don't know either. We have some folks in the chat, including Vanessa and Rhonda, saying, I like the thrillers, just not the gory movies. Rhonda says, I like the psychological horror, like
Yeah, me
Stephen
too.
King, but not the
Yeah,
gore. When they start
yeah,
getting into that, it's like,
yeah,
oh, that's a no
yeah.
for me, I
Keep the
think.
gore. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even and the more you see it, you would think you'd become, desensitized to it.
Right.
Not me. It's worse. I'm in fact, with these movies, half the time I'm like,
Yeah.
covering my eyes, and then I hear the sounds of the knife going in the
You're
skin or
like,
the bones
no,
crunching. I go, that's
no.
enough. That's enough.
Mm-mm.
I'm not going to look. Yeah.
This is interesting. Nolaphidian writes, and then I'll let you go. I'm sorry, I'm keeping you too long, but
Okay. No, that's
Nolaphidian
okay.
says, the horror movies don't scare me if they're about supernatural stuff. Like
Hmm.
maybe what's the movie?
Misery, does it
Oh,
say? A movie like
well, he's
Misery scored
saying
me.
the movie like
Oh,
Misery scared me silly, but I was thinking like,
oh,
those supernatural movies like The Exorcist that are supposed to be really scary, or Rosemary's Baby, that supernatural devilly weird stuff. He
yeah,
says it's the movie like Misery that scared the bejesus out of him. And
yeah.
that
Well,
is true. Like, what do you really consider horror when you look
yeah,
at the human mind and how someone can
hmm,
just be switched off like that, and have
yeah.
this crazy lady that Kathy Bates so beautifully played in that movie?
Oh God, brilliant. Yeah, yeah.
It
But it was
wasn't
like, but it
technically a
was
horror movie, but it was
It was.
horror.
It
Yeah.
was horrifying. I mean, to
Mhm.
be in the situation that writer was in, at the mercy of that crazy woman,
Yeah. Yeah.
nightmare stuff, horror. Yeah,
Really, really
it takes
scary.
many forms. Horror takes
Yeah.
many forms. Right.
Yes. Tim Sika, you are awesome. Thank you for coming through and giving
Oh,
us
thanks,
some
Kim.
great movie recommendations for the weekend ahead. Oh, I didn't recap it. Let me recap it because I got to
Okay.
recap it.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
The
okay.
recap includes Hurry Up Tomorrow, and Tim said,
Hurry up and close.
hurry up
Yeah.
and be over. Hurry up and close. You said that was the worst movie. Don't even bother. Don't watch that movie. You said beware of it. It's grueling to sit through with the visual assault. It's one of the worst movies of the year. You said it's dreadful. It's garbage. It's so bad, and you do not recommend it. I don't think
Oh,
I've ever heard you lay into a movie like that, and that's enough for
no,
me. The
no.
Old Woman with the Knife. You said it's an odd movie. immoral, but compellingly unpleasant and violent and interesting enough to make it a decent movie. And you actually recommend The Old Woman with the Knife.
Yeah.
As far as Pee-wee's as himself, this documentary, you said it is worth watching. You said when you learn more about people, there's always something you can relate to. Pee-wee as himself is streaming on HBO Max. Jane Austen wrecked my life. You loved this movie. You said it's a smart take on the rom-com. It's a nice, delightful movie, you said, entertaining, a lot of observations in this one about life and literature, and you called this movie satisfying. You recommend Jane Austen Wrecked My Life. Your classic movie recommendation of the week is Reds from 1981. You said it's intelligent, it's brilliantly cast, got a great love story and a historical backdrop, and you said Reds from 1981 is worth looking back for and watching again this weekend. That is At the Movies with Tim Sika. Tim, thank you so much.
Thanks, Kim. We'll talk to you next week. You have a great weekend.
You too. Bye, Tim. Oh, I cut him off early. That's it. At the Movies with Tim Sika. I love it every Friday. By the way, I do pull Tim's video and I put it under the video section in the After Party Live so you can watch just that portion of the show. If you're looking for a movie review or you want to go back to see something he said, you can do that. Again, that's in the video section under the After Party Live on YouTube. I think we have another story left in us, don't you think? Yeah, let's do this one because Rhonda recommended it and I really, really loved it. This movie is about, or this this story is about sand sculptures. And there is this event that happens in South Korea that I didn't know about. It's called the Hyundai. Hyundai. I don't know if it's spelled differently than the car. The Hyundai Sand Festival. It is in South Korea and they started it in 2003 as part of an effort to get more people to come out to this area, to this beach. And it has turned into something where people from all over the world flocked to this really cool sand festival. There's clear water and beautiful sand festival of sand sculptures. They say that it attracts over 1 million visitors every year. And it's now this big grand event with sand sculpting contests and other activities like live music and food vendors. And there's a beer garden and a K-pop dance contest. I'm drawn to the sand art. And so here's a couple of pictures. Here's one of them. Here's another piece of the sand art. Look at the artistry and the carving. It's so beautiful. Here's another one. Look at this elephant. A little different in that a lot of the sand sculptures that I've seen have been, it's not just a carvings on a pile of sand, but they'll actually take the sand and make it into a sculpture. Whereas this one, the art looks more like using the sand as a canvas, right? In this situation. So yeah, there it is from South Korea. And thank you to Rhonda for sending me this story. Very cool. Look at that carving on the elephant trunk. How beautiful. So again, that is the Hyundai Sand Festival in South Korea. They have sand art exhibitions and sand sculptures, activities, performances, all kinds of things. It takes place on the beach, Hyundai Beach, in the area of Busan. And they don't say what time of year that, oh yeah, May 19th through May 22nd. So it'll be happening pretty soon. And then the sand sculptures stay on display until June 6th, D-Day. So again, the festival May 19th through May 22nd, and then the sand exhibitions or the sculptures stay on display through early June. So pretty cool. And thank you again for sending that in. I appreciate it. Should we talk about, let's talk about this 8-year-old kid with a metal detector. I love this story. This 8-year-old, he goes out on the beach and finds one of these, see these metal spokes sticking up? Immediately uncovers one of these metal spikes that pop up. archaeologists think he may have found the remains of the St. Anthony schooner that crashed in 1856. This kid is from Canada. His name is Lucas. A couple years ago, went on a family trip to Point Farms Provincial Park in Ontario, and he had this metal detector that he got for his birthday, and he was scanning the area hoping to hear that beep, and then he did, and he started digging into this site, and he found this metal spike, which his dad thought at the beginning was something maybe that had been used to tie up boats way back when, but they dug further and they found another spike attached to another piece of wood, and then they realized that they had uncovered a shipwreck. Come to find out, it's a 2-century-old shipwreck. Once they realized what they found, they called in the officials at the provincial park staff, who called the people at the Ontario Marine Heritage Committee, and they say it took a couple years to get the permits to excavate further, that the shipwreck's double frames, once they were able to uncover it, suggest that it is of the schooner variety. And now they're still trying to definitely confirm the ship's identity, but they think that this is probably the St. Anthony, which wrecked near Lake Huron in 1856, transporting wheat between Chicago and Buffalo. So they're creating sketches of the wreck from above and from the side to try to analyze it in more detail. And they're looking at 19th century insurance requirements for ships as well, which they hope will provide more information about it, when and where it sank, all of these things. So they think the number of fasteners required in the frames indicate that it could be the schooner, and they say by cross-referencing those details against the record of the missing ships that they could maybe identify this wreck for sure. Pretty cool. You never know what you're going to find out there when you've got the metal detector. Even a little kid, you know, can find something interesting. We saw that it's just in the past few days, this man from Romania uncovered the ancient hoard of Roman coins, right? So sometimes you can find things and you don't even realize how significant the find is until a lot later. That's what happened to a prospector from Australia who found a large rock with a metal detector in 2016, thought maybe it was a gold nugget, and then realized later that it was a 4.6 billion year old meteorite. So these metal detector people, I love it. This is the After Party Live, and we have come to a close, but I do want to say thank you to Jane O, who throws in $10, some Kim Kaching for the After Party Live. Kim and Chatters, thank you. Happy spring. Thank you, Jane O, for the nice messages and emails you send, and also for the contribution to the show. Really, really appreciate it. And Scott Rittenberg for your PayPal contribution, and also for the super chat, super sticker. Grateful for that as well. I hope that you guys have a really, really good weekend. I'll see you on Monday for the Mark Thompson Show, where we've got some great guests lined up. Mark left me some recorded interviews to do. I want to also thank Wes for coming in with another $5 contribution via PayPal today. Again, so thank you. And again, I'll mention the folks that have contributed for the last couple of days via PayPal, including Lori Above the Bar, Elaine L., another one from Wes, again, Scott Rittenberg. So thank you. The PayPal information is in the show description and in the About tab here with a live link. All right, we are off to our weekend, and we're going to have a very, very good one. I'll see you back here on the YouTube on Monday, but until then, make it the very best you can. Bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Oh, yay. Thank you, Rhonda. It's kind of what it looked like, didn't it? It was kind of painful, but he was great. Thank- Yeah, thanks, Phineas. No one's driving out to the coast to see that. That's way too far away. But there is that happening over the weekend. And I can't go, unfortunately, because Jacob has a piano recital. So it's a music filled weekend in this house. Have a great weekend, everyone.